my name is Andris. This is Heavy Rain Sound Studio, and this is where Project 3 have recorded their first debut LP, Control. Originally, I was meant to mix MIDI drums, but then I made a post about the project, and Tim Lowe loved it so much that he said, "Alright guys, I want to play for this album." And I loved him. I love his playing because he can do like anything. If you want pop, disco, country, whatever, jazz, he will do it. And his drum set is amazing, and he's one of the rarest drummers who tunes his drum set.
Oh, good.
Yeah. No, seriously, like he tunes his toms, he cares about his snare sound, he cares about his kick sound and everything, and it just shines, you know. And he has those lovely zillion bells, which
yeah, they're nice.
Well, basically, I used a very, very basic microphone setup for the drums. I just went for what works, so I used an SM57 on the snare. I use a raw NT5 on the bottom of the snare. Tim also had a second snare, a reggae snare, so I used another NT5 on his reggae snare. We didn't use anything for the bottom to have that Congo Bongo type of...
Congo Bongo?
I don't know how you call it.
Congo?
You know, the Congos, Bongos, whatever you call them.
Bongos?
Bongos.
Just what you want for a heavy metal album.
Yeah. Just what
George.
But he only used the reggae snare in one song.
He was turning.
Yeah, the end of turning that.
And there's also one hit in the middle of the song. He hits it once. I use my trusted Audix microphone set for the toms and kick. I used the Audix D2 for toms, floor tom as well. I don't have an Audix D4 because it sounds too snappy. I like the warm sound, clean sounding stuff. And I used an Audix D6 for the kick, which is my go-to microphone. Some people say it's not good for studio. I love it. And you just listen to the songs and you know, it sounds amazing.
With the drum placement, was there any, when you were just setting up, was there any ideas that you had for placement in that room, specifically considering it's more acoustically bright?
Well, basically the only thing I had in my head was to have this raw sounding drum, so I didn't want to go over process with it. So I used quite a few microphones. I didn't use any overheads, so I was what I wanted to do is I wanted to blend so I used two NT5s, Rode NT5s for the cymbals.
Yes.
But in a way it's also recording the toms, because normally you would use a few for the cymbals and then use an overhead. I didn't use overheads because I believe in less is more.
Yeah.
So basically I blended that together with the panned toms. That's why you get that nice 3D feel when Tim's doing the fills, you know, he goes around.
Yeah.
Plus it's mixed together with the room mic.
Yeah.
For mixing, I also used the ISA 430 for snare to get that punchiness in the snare sound, and my chain went into the distressor after that, and I used the Brit mod, which I love a lot. So both the snare and the kick has the Brit mod on. I've added a bit of tubey saturation to the vocals to have the separation. Many times I don't EQ, I use saturation instead. So like if I want something to shine, I use tape. If I want that nice and warm, I use the tube saturation. And the Brit mod is just amazing for kick and snare. For the mastering, I use my Radio Man, which is basically an SSL clone made in Germany. Well, basically it's cost third the price, but does the same job. So it sounds amazing. It's very warm. It's very dark. I have to be honest, I use it on any of the tracks all the time. I use it for drum buses, but I mainly use it in mastering to glue things together and add that warmness and add that darkness into the sound. I think that's it.